coast to coast, and this shit is flat to me. I'm just saying. I drive from Florida to California all the time. It's flat to me. I do not go up and down at a 360-degree angle.
It's true, it's flat until you get to the mountains, of course. Then you go up. It's not 360. But I understand what he's saying. Four-time NBA champion's words are echoing those of another basketball player, Kyrie Irving, from the Cleveland Indians, who spoke his mind last week. This is what Kyrie said. This is not even a conspiracy theory. The earth is flat. Four-time NBA All-Star Irving said on another podcast published on February 17th. Speaking on the show, O'Neal has also expressed his doubts in the American education system. I'll skip the impersonation. Listen, there are three ways to manipulate the mind. What you read, what you see, and what you hear. Now, I think what you read and what you see are kind of the same to some degree. But I get what he's saying. In school, first thing they teach us is Columbus discovered America. But when he got there were some fair-skinned people with the long hair smoking on the peace pipes. So what does that tell you? Columbus didn't discover America. So what's interesting now is that we're going to have history challenged, which I think is a really, really, really good thing. I think history needs to be challenged. But then we're going to have competing models of history. Just like we're going to have competing models of Trump care, whatever they're going to call it. We'll have competing models of history. And, there'll be the America BC history. There'll be the Blackmore version of history. There'll be all these different competing models of history. And who knows what's right? Who knows what's right? There are some things that are going to be clearer than others. And there are other things that are going to be not so clear. So we're in the competing model of history. The Newark, New Jersey native O'Neal is the seventh place all-time in points scored, 15-time NBA All-Star, 3-time NBA All-Star Game MVP, blah, blah, blah. Those are his credentials. I'll tell you what else he is. He's also a Freemason. He loves showing off his Freemasonic ring on the TNT show, the after-game show with Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith and Charles Barkley. He loves showing off that ring. You can go online. You can see pictures of Shaq in his Freemason apron. And so I don't know whether or not he's taking Freemasonic orders, operating independently. Who knows? Who knows? What I do know is that the flat earth is a really popular topic for Christians because the flat earth for them confers everything that they know about the Bible and what God teaches in the Bible. So it conforms to their version of this world and the afterworld. So they're all for the flat earth. And O'Neal is not a Christian. He's a Freemason. Now, I don't know where Shaq is in terms of his degrees. So maybe he's not as hip to the trip as, maybe we think he is, or they impart to him. We don't know. Look, there's so much information out there now. If you want to be informed about Freemasonry and what happens when you climb the ranks and you ascend towards the 33rd degree, then it's out there. You'll figure it out. Unless, of course, you're deeply invested in kind of the lower degrees, and you'll figure it out when you get there, or it's like, it's a bunch of shit. People talk about this, and they give us a bad rap, a bad name, blah 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 blah. And then you're insular, and you're in with a bunch of other people who are echoing a particular reality, which is, I guess, okay, unless the echo is to the detriment of seeing through this matrix. But it's interesting now. So we're having this kind of competing model, and the flat earth is starting to bubble up and surface into people's consciousness and conscious awareness. So I think reality is much stranger than we know. That's what I think. I think that we're in a very different kind of world. That's my sense here. Very, very different kind of world. But I do think there is an underlying logos that moves through it, and there have been great teachers that have walked amongst us and helped show us the way showers. And through them, we can live our lives in divine accordance. Let's put it that way. All right, let's see what else is happening out there in the world today. There's a few other things. Oh, this is an interesting one. Alan Dershowitz, who is deeply connected to Jeffrey Epstein and Pato Island, just spent the weekend at Mar-a-Lago with Trump. Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know why anybody would want to spend a weekend with Alan Dershowitz, let alone 5 minutes with him. You guys are creep, total creep. Maybe people say, "Oh, well, look at Trump, keeping his friends close, his enemies closer." I don't know if he's his enemy. Trump has spoken glowingly about Larry Silverstein. He's a great man and a good friend. Well, this is the guy that helped orchestrate. Oh, he didn't really orchestrate. He kind of was the front man for 9/11. I don't think he had any orchestration at all. That was not his. He came onto the scene late. He was going to be the guy that was going to essentially be the front man, answer all the questions, take the heat for the insurance policy that was on all the buildings in the World Trade Center complex. He's a good friend of Donald Trump's. All right, what else do we have going on here today? There's the continuing battle between Trump and Obama and spying and leaking. That's going on right now. I'm not sure where it's headed. One of the things we talked about as there was this run-up to Trump, the Trump up, was I said that Trump is going to increase the police state. And the reason why I said that was because the writing was on the wall. It was not hard to see. He kept talking about security and information. He would drop hints during some of these debates. We need more of it. I'm like, okay, here we go. He's going to crank up surveillance. Now, ironically, he becomes the object of surveillance, which is a very Gemini thing, if you think about it. So he's having firsthand experience around what it's like to be surveilled, and it's really not a lot of fun. And we're all surveilled. We're all being sampled all the time. Even this podcast or stream is being sampled. So it's ongoing. Andrew Napolitano, who is actually one of the clearer, more lucid, and independent voices over at Fox News, has been suspended. He may not come back because he was one of the guys that was breaking this story that Obama was spying on Trump. And Comey came out and said, well, no, it didn't happen. Can you trust James Comey? And by the way, if you are a progressive, liberal Democrat, and you feel like Comey was the guy that kept Hillary Clinton from winning because he came out in the last weekend to reopen the investigation, first of all, it didn't matter at that point. It just didn't matter. The election had been made up long before that. The people who were going to vote made up their minds long before that. It wasn't like, oh, maybe I'll change my vote now. No, people made up their minds because Hillary Clinton was thoroughly unlikable and trashed half of America. And the other half she held in secret contempt. When you're watching these events, we're all kind of caught up in the energy and the maelstrom of the moment. But now that we can go back and sort of take a look at what was said, she said that, half of his followers were a basket of deplorables. Just think about that statement. Think about just how damning that is. How, if you are just kind of a regular Joe or a regular Jane in a flyover state, and you're being called a basket of deplorable or deplorable, I mean, at that point, your vote is cast. I mean, I think that one statement alone essentially flipped the election. That one statement alone flipped the election. And when you go back in time and look at it, it's a really horrible statement. But anyway, if you're one of these progressive or liberals that think that Comey was the guy that flipped the election for Hillary, well, you think you would be satisfied now because he's come out and said that Obama did not spy on Trump. But does that restore your faith in the system? If you really thought the fix was in, wouldn't Comey have said, "Yeah, you're right. You're right, Donald. He did spy on you." Things aren't always as they seem, are they? Or are they, or as they appear to us? There's a lot more going on there. That's about it for today's show. Got 4 minutes left. Let me just give you another really quick fact here. Did you know that life expectancy in Russia is up 6.5 years since Putin's been there? They've added 6.5 years on the people's lives. Russia has gone through this amazing transformation. It's freaking remarkable. And it coincides with the rise of the Russian Orthodox Church. And again, I know churches are an organizing principle, and they, each one of them has fantastic warts. But as an organizing principle, it's probably not a terrible one. So Putin has completely remade Russia. He is the modern czar. And I'm not one of these raging Putinites. But you have to step back and look and say, this is pretty remarkable, what's happened over there. And I think it's really unfortunate that we have to have resurrected the Cold War ghost once more. And the ironic part in the upside down is that we're really the new Russia. We're the ones that are doing the spying. We're the ones that are doing the wiretapping. We're the ones that have, for the last 8 years prior to Trump, lived under a social Marxist ideology and democratic front. And to some extent, that is still ongoing. It remains to be seen what Donald Trump will do with the last 40 days of his presidency. Oh, by the way, before we get out of here, there was a claim, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but there was a claim by Dianne Feinstein that Trump is going to resign soon. Have you guys seen that? Trump is he's going to leave. And she was very confident. Let me just read this quickly. We might go over a little bit today. This is from the independent.co.uk. And Dianne Feinstein says Trump will resign soon. I can't stand her. Oh, it's a video. I'm not going to play it. She says, well, hold on a second. Let me see if I can play this. Why not? I'll throw it up there. Let's see what happens. No, I'm not going to play it. Oh, there it is.
Well, we have a lot of people looking at this, technical people, and I think he's going to get himself out. I think the creation, I think sending sons to another country to make a financial deal for his company and then have that covered with government expenses. I believe those government expenses should not be allowed. And we are working, let me finish, we are working on a bill that would do that now. We're working on a couple of bills that would deal with conflict of interest right now. It's difficult.